Rantoul Village Board of Trustees regular study session. The meeting's been officially called to order, and Madam Clerk, would you do the roll call, please? Here.
Mayor Smith, let me do that again.
Here.
Trustee Wilson.
Here.
Trustee Robertson. Trustee Kreider. Here. Trustee Hall.
Here.
Trustee Workman.
Here.
Trustee Weathersby. Here. We have a quorum.
All right, very good, thank you. So, on the agenda tonight is the mayoral proclamation, and I have one for the National Apprenticeship Week, which starts November the 13th and runs through the 19th. And this is the proclamation. Proclamation by the mayor of the village of Rantoul. To all to whom these presents shall come, whereas National Apprenticeship Week is celebrating its 9th anniversary for raising awareness of vital roles that registered apprenticeships provide in creating opportunities by allowing apprentices to earn while they learn and prepare a pathway to good, quality jobs and well-paying careers. Whereas the ability to build, rebuild, develop, redevelop, and recover relies heavily on our ability to meet the demand for skilled workers. Registered apprenticeships are one tool in the toolbox to ensure that we have the skilled workers needed to drive our local economy. Whereas, registered apprenticeships are uniquely able to meet the changing demands of the economy and provide expanding opportunities in our workforce that are inclusive for individuals who have been historically underserved, marginalized, and adversely affected by persistent poverty and inequity, providing a critical talent pipeline that can train and build up our workforce. Whereas the village of Rantoul commends the hundreds of apprentices across this village who are earning their livelihood while learning the skills necessary to maintain quality employment, working to support a strong pool of skilled workers for generations to come. Now therefore, I, Charles Smith, the mayor of the village of Rantoul, do hereby promote awareness and declare support for the National Apprenticeship Week, November the 13th through November the 19th of 2023. Signed and sealed the first day of November 2023. I think that's a great program. Everyone needs to learn a trade, either by doing it hands-on or going to school or something of that nature, and this is a nice apprenticeship way to start out a lifelong career. Board, I have no changes to the agenda. Have you made that?
Mayor, you do have one, and that's
okay.
The removal of 16F. 16F is the purchase of switchgear equipment for the Prospect substation upgrades from Powercom Corp. That will be brought back before you in December after a few questions have been answered.
So, Board, if you would, go to item 16 and cross out F. We will not be discussing F this evening. That is the only changes I have. If I could get a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
So moved with the necessary changes.
Second. Kreider.
15 now. 15.
We good?
We're good.
All right. You have a motion and
And a second.
okay.
And any discussion?
Any discussion? I'm seeing and not hearing any.
Trustee Hall.
Aye.
Trustee Workman.
Aye.
Trustee Weathersby.
Aye.
Trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Trustee Kreider.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
All right, very good. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Tonight we have a presentation by Jane DeLuz, President and CEO of Experience Champaign-Urbana. And Jane and I have been spending quite a bit of time together this past week, so it's good to see you, Jane. Welcome.
Nice to see you as well, Mayor. Thank you, and I appreciate the opportunity to speak with all of you this evening. So things are really, really good, and a lot of it has to do with what is happening up here in Rantoul, so I'm excited to share about that. So we first look at the numbers. Our hotel motel tax revenue in Champaign County at the end of June, which would have been the end of fiscal year 23, it was at a $5.48 million in hotel tax revenue. And you can see where the COVID year were. You can see what it was pre-pandemic, but it just shows that we are on the rise for everything that is happening around the Champaign County area, and that is very good news for all of us. What that means economically wise is that travel and tourism supported in 2022, so we get the numbers a year after the fact, 4,900 jobs in our area, which is a 14.8% increase, generating $160.8 million in payroll, which is a 17% increase, through $608.8 million in visitor spending, 21% increase, bringing $17.3 million in local taxes to be invested back to the community, and a 21.4% increase. I want to note over on the left where it mentions that we're the 8th highest spending, visitor spending in Illinois. We're doing very, very well, and we're doing better than some other places that have more of a greater population than we do. So congratulations to all of us. And a lot of that, again, has to do with a lot of the good work that's happening specifically at the Rantoul Sports Complex, which we'll talk about. So why experience Champaign-Urbana instead of visit Champaign County? Well, we wanted to look and see how to be competitive in a very cluttered marketplace. And so we conducted a survey and series of focus groups with residents and business owners and stakeholders. We talked about how do people talk about our community within Illinois and outside the Midwest. And so results indicated that over 50% of respondents say they live in Champaign-Urbana, even if they're in one of the surrounding communities, just as a qualifier, especially the further out they go. So you might be in visiting somebody or talking to somebody in Ohio, and you say you live in Rantoul, and they might say, where's that? You might say north of Champaign-Urbana. If you're, I always love when you talk to people who you say you're from Illinois, and they assume we all know each other, living in, you're south of Chicago, right? That's kind of our resident notifier there. But we also did some advertising testing leading up to this rebrand. And we did headlines and copy and digital advertising replacing Champaign County with Champaign-Urbana. And using near identical campaigns, the click-through rates doubled, driving more people to the website. So what we're finding out is that people are not Googling county. They're Googling either University of Illinois, they're Googling Champaign, they're Googling Urbana. If they know the Rantoul Sports Complex, they're Googling that, but they're not really Googling county. And we wanted to see how it would work, and so that was the testing that we did with the advertising. So results from that, from July 1st to October 1st of 23, website traffic has increased by 17%, generating 42% more activity on the site, which are clicks to our blogs, our event calendar. Our event calendar is our most visited page on our website. And a recent campaign that we did with WGN out of Chicago saw double the responses from the same campaign we did last year with this new branding. So we find that it's working. Along with that, which we're super excited and hope that you'll go to, is our new website. So the website has a new interactive map featured on the homepage. Each of the city and villages are featured with a description and 3 businesses or attractions, call-outs to be rotated regularly. So there you can see where you can see the areas that we cover, and we do cover, in addition to Champaign County, a reminder that we cover Piatt, Ford, Moultrie, and Douglas counties as well. And so this is a way that we can take the major areas within our whole region and be able to showcase what makes those areas. So we're really getting into visitor data, and a lot of it centers around the Rantoul Sports Complex. So if you look at, and I think this is super exciting to be able to, instead of anecdotally saying that a lot of people are coming to Rantoul and going to the sports complex, we're being able to see it by data that is tracked through credit card receipts and cell phone usage. Rantoul has 7.9% of all visitors to the Champaign County area, which is the highest outside of Champaign-Urbana, and the sports complex receives 34.9% of all of Rantoul's visitors. The average spending in Rantoul is $138. Food accounts for 32% of all spending. I laugh because no matter what data you do, it's all about the food, kind of like Curtis Orchard Donuts tonight, right? So it's always all about the food and where people go. This is very small print, and I will share this presentation with you, and we'll continue to provide this data to you all on, I think we're trying to do it on a quarterly basis, so that you can see where people are going, what they're doing while they're here, and how it compares to previous years and how it compares to other communities coming in. So the impact of the sports complex fills the hotels throughout the season, and as I often tell Mayor Smith, I hope that Mayor Marlin and Mayor Finan are calling to thank him because it fills the hotels all over Champaign County and beyond. We've seen a lot of cross-visitation across the region. We've brought in some new events that are in addition to the multi-year events with baseball and soccer that Ryan and his team have worked on. And we were just talking about this before this event. If you had told me even 2 years ago that we'd be hosting quad ball in Rantoul, I would have said, what? What is quad ball? And if you're wondering, if you don't know what quad ball is, that is Quidditch. If you're a Harry Potter fan, it is similar that they've made that a sport. But to separate it out from the Harry Potter books, it is now known as U.S. Quad Ball. The regional qualifiers here November 18th and 19th. 18 teams coming to the Rantoul Sports Complex. One thing that I want to say about that particular sport is it is a non-traditional athlete. It is not your soccer players. It is not your football players or baseball players. These are everyday people that are taking a little bit of a cross of lacrosse and soccer all kind of put in together, and it brings together a lot of people, and we want to be a very welcoming community, and I think just even having youth football has brought in cross-population as well as bringing in quad ball, so we're super excited to see how that goes. Please hope for good weather. If we took the weather like today, it would be a lot more fun than what it could be in a couple of weeks, but we're gonna just think good thoughts on that one. And then, of course, IHSA boys basketball. So we're in the second year of a 3-year bid. The first year, we had 34,000 that attended. The last year, we had 40,000 attended. And this next year, in March of 2024, we anticipate probably similar. I don't know how much it can increase. It all depends on which teams are in. It all depends on how the Fighting Illini do over at the Big Ten tournament. When they lose early, that generates more people that come to the IHSA State boys basketball. But it is truly a highlight of our season, and we're thankful to have it back. The 3-year bid was our initial bid. We will be extending that by a 5-year extension starting in 2025. And so they will not be going back out to bid. Our goal is that it will become a part of what we are here, similar to IHSA wrestling that gets extended every 5 years and doesn't go out to bid. We've done a really good job of hosting it, and with everybody's help, including Rantoul and other areas, we will continue to make this a showcase premier event for the season. And we're super excited about the marathon. This is something I think that we didn't realize what we had until we didn't have it. So of course we had COVID year, we were running virtually, not running virtually, it was being recorded virtually. Maybe some people were running virtually, I guess. And so when it got brought back, and I think everyone's been aware that it didn't come back with the full marathon due to lack of police officers and security. And this year, so since pre-COVID, this will be the first time the full marathon is back. The route is changing, and it will be including Champaign-Urbana and Savoy instead of going further into West Champaign. But at its height, we had over 20,000 participants. This last year was a little under 10, and we anticipate between 10 and probably 12, maybe 13,000, which is terrific economically for our entire area. And so we're really good at filling the weekends. We got a lot of the sport events, we have a lot of weddings, we have a lot of special events that happen, but what we really need to continue driving is our weekday traffic, Sunday through Thursday. And so we really are working hard on meetings. We have the expanded space at the iHotel and Illinois Conference Center, which is bringing in a lot of events. This particular event that happened, the International Conference on Digital Preservation, IPRES, was hosted in September 23 with 2,000 attendees from around the world. This was the first time this conference was held in the United States. This is a huge opportunity to continue talking about the fact that we are a diverse population and we do welcome people from all over the world, and we want to continue working on things that will support those efforts. So we're working on a strategic plan, and one of our efforts is going to be to continue bringing in large conferences to the University of Illinois campus during the summers, particularly when there's not classes in session. And I think it's a wonderful opportunity for the community at large, because when people come, they're going to explore around the whole region. Speaking of food, see, it's always about the food. So when you get done with your New Year's resolutions after the 1st of January, by the end of January, we will be doing Restaurant Week again. But last year, with ETs was part of it as well, we had 42 participating restaurants, we had 10 new participants, 68,000 website visits with 19,000 unique users. This says a lot about people who are supporting 42 restaurants in our entire region area. And it's a wonderful way that we've included our local restaurants, an opportunity for them to showcase new menu items. ETs did very well. We surveyed our restaurants afterward, and we'll continue to do that in 2024 as well. Community resource-wise, you have the experience guide in front of you. We do still distribute 40,000 copies of that. We use that for rest stops on highways. We use that for new faculty orientations on the Univi campus. We use it for people who request them from anywhere that they want to. And we find that our busiest time is July through September, because we distributed 9,000 just in the first quarter. But what we've done with this experience guide, and even if you've lived here your entire life, I hope that you'd take some time to read some of the features, because we really made it more editorial instead of listings, and it gives an opportunity to talk about people from this area and have their story be shared. That's not just like, we have this, we have this, we have this. It's really getting into detail and showcasing different areas and different people each year that we print this guide. Social media, always a popular tool to use for telling our community story. Facebook, we're over 11,000 followers. Instagram, over 8,000 followers. TikTok, which I'm still trying to figure out how that's working, I'm laughing because it really attracts a lot of our U of I students, are much more engaged with a lot of the work that we're doing. We've found that we've had additional reach and exposure through our blog posts and through digital ad campaigns. You can see some of those from the Rantoul area with the Midwest Youth Football Classic, and of course the Half Century of Progress show. And then always got to talk about the reindeer, so definitely about the reindeer. And one thing I wanted to mention, because we had promoted it and I forgot to include that on this slide, was this last year when we presented B-52 Hangar MX with a Tourism Impact Award. And that's a relatively new business, as you all know, in the scope of some of the other ones that were honored. But it was just great to see something that has taken repurpose of space at the Air Force Base and really made it into an attraction. And so we wish them the best, and we're able to honor them with the Tourism Impact Award in May, and really enjoyed being able to do that and have a video about them, et cetera. One of the areas that is a strong focus of ours is talent attraction. We want people to visit, but we want people to move to our area. So with the Chambana Welcome Crew, this is over 50 ambassadors across all backgrounds who have served over 100 new and potential residents. So what happens if someone is finding out that they're going to move here, maybe as a trailing spouse or partner, or they're just moving here for family, or they're just moving here to be in the Midwest, or they are thinking about moving here, they can talk with someone who might have a similar background as them, because we often find that when people are moving to a new community, they don't always want to ask all those questions about community life to their job. And so it gives them somebody that might have a similar background, whether it's a family background or hobby background. We've done new resident mixers and having people be able to kind of meet with other people and just have that opportunity. We're finding a lot of young professionals are the top age groups and are highly interested in arts and culture and outdoor opportunities. We've also continued to work on the development of the Champaign County African American Heritage Trail. We were thrilled to get the sign installed for the 99th Pursuit Squadron here in Rantoul, and look forward to continue telling the stories about not only what's happened in there, but the other 20 signs that are going to be installed. We have 8 so far that are installed as of this last week, and we'll continue to tell the different stories around the whole area. Last week, we did ones in Homer, so it's not just in Champaign-Urbana and Rantoul, it's also in some of our even smaller areas. We're also close to finishing the transformation of Skeleton Park in Champaign that is going to be a tribute to African-American musicians. That picture in the middle is Preston Jackson, a very well-known sculptor who has created this musical piece, and it will be the centerpiece of that park, and will recognize musicians that have been from the entire area, and that list is being curated now, and we hope to dedicate that park next summer. We invite you to look at the website, ccafricanamericanheritage.org. I will say with the most confidence that it's not just the best site in Illinois, it's one of the best sites in the country in terms of telling the African American history story and how we've done it by decades. And of course, film. Lots of film and lots of film activity in the Rantoul area as well. So we have a foundation. So we have Experience Champaign-Urbana and we have the Experience Champaign-Urbana Foundation. And one of the initiatives that our foundation is supporting is film. So in the last year, we assisted 6 productions. Over the past year, we continue to grow it in our area, bringing jobs and significant economic impact. 2 weeks ago, we did a film location tour. We really appreciated the assistance of Rantoul in terms of transportation, but also just being and showing the studio that's happening right here in your backyard. And we're assisting Flyover Film Studios on a soundstage grant application. This puts us on the map. Yes, the Rantoul Sports Complex puts us on the map. It already has. But film is something that is growing, and if we as a community can continue to support that and bring in different types of filmmakers for different types of films, this should be a top initiative for our entire area. And with that, I'm going to end it and answer any questions, or if you have any comments. This is the Experience Champaign-Urbana team. This is our board of directors, of which I'm very proud that Mayor Smith serves on, representing Rantoul, and our foundation board that is a separate board that is helping us with some of the fundraising initiatives to support the efforts like the African American Heritage Trail, the film office, the bid incentives, so we can keep bringing in events that happen in the sports complex and our talent attraction program. So with that, I say thank you for the opportunity to speak with you, and let me know if I have any questions.
Excellent comment.
Any questions? Yeah, Irene, go ahead.
Thank you, Ms. Jane, that was excellent. But with the film industry, my sister-in-law, my brother's wife, Rebecca Weathersby from the New York area, worked on the film Emmett Till, and she did suggest that if she can come down here to be part of that, because they're looking to mentor young people that get into the film industry. So I can give you her information.
Would love that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And what we can do to mentor young people, I mean, so much with technology and growing, I love that idea, so I will definitely like that. Thanks.
Anyone else? All right, very good. Jane, thank you so much. You did a good job of representing not only ECU, but also Rantoul, and we do appreciate that.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Have a good evening.
Thank
You
you.
too.
Thanks for the treats.
Ladies and gentlemen, next is public participation. And this is citizens wishing to address the village board with respect to any items of business listed on the agenda or any matter not appearing on the agenda. Those individuals are asked to sign up on the public participation form and submit it to the village clerk prior to the meeting. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes for each speaker. Madam Clerk, do we have anyone who would like to address the board tonight?
We have 2 speakers this evening.
Okay.
Our first speaker, Jade Ray. If you'd please come to the microphone.
Okay. Welcome.
Thank you for letting me have the opportunity to speak. First, I just want to say that I am here to address and shed some light on a few topics that are going on and seem to be a theme in Rantoul, more specifically with the police department. I have 2 visuals here from the Rantoul Police Department's use of force breakdown by race from last year and this year. And you can see that African Americans are the majority of the people that are in involved in use of force by the police officers in Rantoul, even though they make up about less than 20% of the Rantoul population. This is a fact that makes Azan Lee and Jordan Richardson a part of those statistics. And according to both Azan and Jordan's use of force board review, the department was recommended to have VR training that could supplement reality-based training, but it said it couldn't replace it and that the department VR headset is outdated technology. Are there any plans to advance this technology for this training to occur for the Rantoul Police Department? Because it didn't happen when it was suggested from Azan's murder, because of the exact same recommendations came in when Jordan was murdered 4 months later. The village cannot afford to keep the police with the newest training technologies that could prevent these racial statistics from being so high that I had mentioned before, but it can afford about $35,000 for a new police undercover vehicle, and the village can afford over $400,000 for SafeLink plate readers, but it cannot afford to keep its police officers with the required updated training. I would also like to note that we have not gotten any updates on Jerry King's investigation for the racist Facebook posts. And I have sat and taken the time to compare written statements from all the police officers, and in both situations, they do not match Julia Reitz, or the original statements do not match their statements after viewing their body camera. And I'm just a regular citizen that I can take the time and view this. So I encourage you to do the same. And like I said, I hope that the village will take the time to fund the Rantoul Police Department in order to get the correct training for the use of force so that nobody else is murdered in the village. Thank you.
Mr. Derek Briles.
Hey, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
I'm here as a representative of the Prairie Liberation Action Network. We're a 501c4 social welfare organization that works to empower marginalized communities within Champaign County. We are here, much like Jade, to comment on specifically the RPD's and Chief Brown's lack of response to a petition that we gave to them with signatures of roughly 700 community members, the vast majority from Rantoul, the rest from Champaign County, addressing the police killings of Azan Lee and Jordan Richardson. I'm really thankful I was here to witness this very interesting and well-delivered presentation about tourism and the money that that brings into communities like Rantoul and Champaign. Very important for a growing and vibrant community. But you cannot have a growing and vibrant community built on a rotten foundation. And if you have a police force that is not serving the best needs of the people, that has the grossly outbalanced use of force and arrests that the RPD has in Rantoul, given its African-American population, is unacceptable. And that is not a welcoming community for tourism. That is not a community that people want to spend their time and money on. Why would anyone come to a nice village such as this for their tax dollars just to go to a police force that isn't adequately training their officers, isn't adequately disciplining them, and is not supporting their community? I think that's a horrible mistake that the village is making. We've tried working directly with Chief Brown and the police department. We've received no response. So now we have no choice but to escalate this above Chief Brown's head to the entire village. So to you, Mayor Smith, and the trustees of the board, some sort of action is needed on this. We have also delivered petitions to State's Attorney Reitz's office for the same thing. Chief Brown has already said in a public comment that he would be open to exposing the police to an independent investigation of these killings, and that's exactly what we're asking for. So I really encourage you to take this seriously and act on it quickly and with direct intention, and don't delay, because the image that you're building in Rantoul and the folks that you're bringing in is not going to last if you continue to harbor killer police, as well as domestic abusers within your city officials. Thanks for the time.
There are no other speakers tonight, Mayor.
All right, very good. Yeah. Items from trustees. Any trustee have an item you'd like to talk about? I see none. Items from the mayor is that we are celebrating Veterans Day. It'll be a ceremony. The host of that will be Gun Ho Post 6750 here in Rantoul. It will be on Saturday, November the 11th at 1 o'clock at the Rantoul Sports Complex at the Veterans Memorial Facility. All right. All right. Next are items from the clerk. Madam Clerk, you have 2 items, A and B. Would you like to address those?
Yes, in your board packet, you received the minutes for the October 3rd, 2023 study session and the October 10th, 2023 board meeting. And if there are no corrections or questions, we will take those forward to the meeting next week.
Okay. Board, do you have any questions of the clerk about those 2 items? I'm seeing none, so we'll bring it forward. Next is item 10, is items from the Human Resources Department. Did everyone receive your demographic report for this month? Okay. And then Village Career Opportunities. Deb, do you want to address that?
Sorry. In your packet, you'll see we're hiring. These are just the positions that we're currently hiring, that we try to post and that we try to advertise on social media. So if you have social media and you'd like to share this posting, let me know and I can send it out to you.
Any questions for our Human Resource Director about this item? Yes, Sam, go ahead.
Thank you. And yes, so I would like it. So just send it to me and I'll.
All right. Anyone else? All right, very good. We'll take care of that. All right. Thank you, Deb. Next are items from the police. Item A is a resolution to approve a 5-year contract for the police department with Flock Safety for automated license plate readers in the amount of $428,350. Tony?
Yes, Board. We are asking, if you recall, in September, the Board approved a 5-year contract with Flock Safety where we locked in the price for the LPRs for that 5-year period. What we're asking today is for the Board we're asking you to amend the contract and add 9 additional license plate readers to what we currently have. And we were asked to look at this and see if there are kind of deficiencies and holes in some of our coverage. And we think these 9 is what we need to shore up some of the areas that we currently have some coverage in. And the new price over a 5-year period would be $428,350. Which comes out to $88,500 per year. Any questions?
Board? Any questions or responses? Observations? Not hearing anything. All right, then we'll bring it forward. Thank you, Chief. Next are items from the fire department, and the first one is a notice of Rantoul Fire Department training on LPG burn exercise. It's going to be on Wednesday, November the 8th, from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the airport. Chief, would you like to address this and tell us a little bit more about it?
Sure, absolutely, Mayor. Thank you. Tomorrow evening from 6 p.m. to 10 p.m., we'll be hosting a LPG burn instructed by the Illinois Fire Service Institute in in Champaign. They'll come up here. We'll have approximately 60 students from the northern Champaign County Fire Departments out on the airport area. It's something that we need to do, but for the most part for you and the citizens of Rantoul to know we'll be doing some burns with 1,000-gallon propane cylinders. So, I mean, there are going to be times you may see flames 30, 40 feet in the air as we train on it to make sure that we're able to address propane burn-offs safely. So just more of a notice of this is what's going to be going on tomorrow evening.
Or do you have any questions on this training or of the chief about the fire department?
He's a professional, so I guess I'm not concerned.
Well, I
Okay.
appreciate the
Oh,
heads
Lord.
up. I was headed to the gym one day during the summer, and I seen some kind of fire going on. I'm starting to panic. I'm calling 911. Oh, it's a controlled burn. So thank you for letting us know in advance.
All right, anyone else with a comment? All right, very good. Thank you, board. We'll bring that one forward. There are no items from building and environmental safety, and there are no items from community development. Items from recreation. Construction contract for the Illinois Department of Natural Resources Heritage Lake Boat Access Area Development with concrete incorporated in the amount of $184,335. Mr. Humphrey, will you tell us about it?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and good evening to the board. This agenda item provides for a construction contract with Concrete Inc. for the IDNR Heritage Lake Boat Access Area Development. We put out a bid on October the 6th of 2023, and within your packet, you can review those bid documents. We did conduct a site visit on October the 12th, 2023, to go over all the aspects of the construction project. Bids were opened on October the 27th. The bid tabulation is within your packet for you to review as well. The low bidder was Concrete Inc. in the amount of $184,335. With your approval of this contract, we will be able to fund the following grant components: new construction of a one-lane boat ramp, new construction of ADA floating dock with canoe launch and accessible gangway, as well as new ADA sidewalk construction leading to the existing parking lot. Construction is expected to begin immediately with a contracted completion date of April 1st, 2024. So again, this is 100% funded through the IDNR, and it is a 100% reimbursable grant. So it is budgeted for. We will do all the work and then submit reimbursement to the IDNR. And I will be glad to take any questions.
Anyone? I guess we all agree this is past due and really needed. So thanks, Luke. I'll
Thank
bring
you.
it forward. Okay, items from Public Works. The first one is local agency agreement for preliminary engineering phase 1 and 2 of the Veterans Parkway Shared Use Path, Illinois Transportation Enhancement Program with the Illinois Department of Transportation, north side of Veterans Parkway from Maplewood Drive to Short Street. Jake, tell us about it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Whoa. Is that better, or? Oh. Is that better?
That's good.
Okay. So, good evening, trustees. Yes, this item is for the village was awarded a state ITEP grant in the amount of $767,000, and it will be going towards a 10-foot shared use path along the north side of Veterans Parkway. We have brought this part of the grant when we applied to you, and we were successful. So now we are going to be entertaining the beginning phases of engineering. So this approval between the village and the Illinois Department of Transportation allocates costs towards those engineering funds, and so the state portion is $89,185, and the village's portion is $0. Again, this is a 100% payment by the ITEP funds, which is unusual. Usually in the past we've had 80-20, so we're very thankful for the state giving us a greater dollar amount. So with that, if you have any questions, I'd be glad to ask or answer any.
Okay.
A map is attached in the back of the parkway.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I have a comment.
Go ahead.
I don't have a question. I'm just excited that this is going to be happening because driving down that street, sometimes you have people who are walking and it's really dangerous. There's nowhere for them to walk. So I'm really excited to see this being put in.
I would like to say that the construction is anticipated to be this coming summer, so it'll go out for bid in the spring.
Okay. Good. Anyone else? Irene?
I just want to commend you guys on your work. I understand grant writing, and congratulations on such great teamwork. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sam, did you have a comment?
No,
Oh, okay. All right. Anyone else? All right, very good. Thank you, Jake. We'll move on to the next one, and that'll be on next week's agenda. Item B is Maplewood Water Tower Wireless Antenna Site Lease Agreement, First Amendment with Sprint Com LLC.
Yes, this item is in regards to a current lease that we have an agreement with Sprint with at the Maplewood Tower, which is has 9 antennas on top of the tower, and it also has an area below which they use for some other equipment. They came to us asking for an extension of this, so basically this amendment would just be renewing the time frame, starting it from fresh and then going on a 5-year term from now, and then it includes 2 additional 5-year options for them if they would like. And then it also has the same baseline of a 3% annual increase. So the amount right now is $15.57. So that's what it will be per month for the starting out. Any questions?
Okay, anyone? I see no questions. I'll bring it forward. Item C. A purchase of a 308-foot of 27 PVC SDR 26 pipe material for the Storm Drainage Division from Core and Main in the amount of $44,302.72. Jake?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This agenda item was suggested by the Storm Committee members. This is part of that fund to help with the Sherrill Drive storm sewers that we're having problems with. So this storm sewer pipe has actually been broken for about 6 months, and so we finally got the funds, and we're willing to do it internally. So we're going to just buy the pipe right now, and then our storm sewer collections people are going to work on the project as soon as we get the pipe in. It's a 27-inch PVC pipe, approximately 308 feet long, and again, it's along Sherrill Drive, and it'll be just in the right of way. It doesn't go under the road, so we won't have much impact on the roadway through there as we do the work. It should just be a little bit of work at Keystone and then down to Alexander. So we're excited to commence with this project.
Is that for that low spot that's in there?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Very good. Any other questions? Sam?
Just Jake, did you say that we'll do the work ourselves?
Yeah, we're just going to be buying the material, and then we're going to be doing the work ourselves.
Okay, thank you.
Is this the pipe the same size as what's in there, or is it larger? Or
It is the exact same size.
Anything else, Terry, on that? Okay. Anyone else? All right, very good. Thanks, Jake. Next one is item D. It's the purchase of replacement of a 2024 Ford 450 truck chassis. And help me with that name. Kefid?
Knapheide, sorry.
All right, I'm glad you could do it. Service body for the Systems Collection Division of Shields Auto Group in the amount of $103,980. Tell us about it.
Thank you, Mayor. This item is for the Collections Division. So right now, in 2006, we bought a number of service trucks across Public Works that had the big box service body on the back. And I didn't include any pictures because I didn't have them at the time. Would you mind handing those to them? But basically, the rear floorboard in the back of the truck is so rusted out that you can see down to the wheels, and so it's not safe. And but yet at the same time, the truck and chassis really aren't in that bad a shape. So we're proposing to buy a new truck with a new service bed with this purchase tonight, and then the old truck, the idea would be to put a new stainless steel dump bed on the back of it so that so that collections can also use it as a dump truck, a smaller dump truck, so they could get in and out of backyards or wherever they're doing potholes instead of having to borrow a flatbed rig from either electric or street. They could have their own. So that's kind of the idea behind it. Again, it's only got 67,000 miles in the chassis in good shape, and so that's what we're kind of asking to do. This new truck is the lowest Sourcewell approved vendor was by Shields Auto Group. Again, it was for the $103,480, and we're asking for just another $500 for license and titling, and these funds were budgeted in the fiscal year 24 systems collections division, and I got or have given you the line item that it would come out of. So any questions about what we're trying to propose here? It might be confusing.
Looks like some duct tape and some touch-up paint would be okay with this.
That's what I was thinking.
You can call Steve Burmaster tomorrow.
Definitely. I do have another question, Jake, on I noticed also, but you do have another truck on a call with the gas truck that's kind of, their box is kind of starting to rust. Is that something else, another truck that we're looking maybe in the future? I was teasing with the administrator earlier if this is going to be the Truck of the Month Club, because we keep getting a different truck every month, but we definitely want to make sure that the guys are being safely, going around town and stuff, not having it. This is beyond repair by obvious reasons.
But in regards to the gas truck, no, it isn't really. Their whole division has, old trucks that are hand-me-downs because their revenues and expenses just kind of don't ever make enough, extra revenue to help create capital to buy new trucks that often. So, yeah, their division is kind of last usually. So we do need it.
But wouldn't that fall under the Public Works budget? Or do we have to go through each division? I mean, Public Works and Electric Division and Water Division and all, we've got money there.
Well,
enterprise funds.
Yeah, they're enterprise funds, so you can't technically, just dip into one for the other.
I sure can.
Very good.
Too late for this. Stop it.
Any questions? Any other questions?
Jake.
Anyone else? Questions? All right. Very good. Let's do item E, is a purchase of a replacement digger derrick truck for the Public Works Electric Division in the amount not to exceed $308,000. Jake?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is my last item, thankfully. This is the Public Works Electric Division digger derrick truck replacement. This digger is we got some pictures for you here. It's a 1991 model year, and it is truck 946, and so we're excited to replace it at this time. We will be getting some trade-in values on it. We don't have those at this time, but we will be trading it in when we get the final invoice. But again, this truck is used all the time for basically digging the utility poles. It uses the screw to dig out the holes and then place the utility poles in the hole. Ultec has offered the digger truck. We have been going with Ultec, but we did ask for other bids, and they were the lowest. And it's definitely the model that we most desired in the amount of $308,000. And also we're excited because this truck was going to be shipped a lot faster than any others, and so we're looking to get it within the next 6 months instead of a couple years. It is included in the electrical division fiscal year 24 and budget. So just wanted to let you know that. Any questions?
Open to questions. Anyone? I'm not seeing any questions, Jake, so we're going to bring it forward.
Thank
All right,
you.
Very good. Jake, thank you so much. All right, next is item 17. It's items from the administrator. First one has to do with an ordinance to amend Chapter 38, Article 11 of the Village Code, snow routes. Mr.
Thank you
Osborne.
very much, Mr. Mayor, and to the board. If you look at the ordinance as it exists now, what has to happen is 2 inches of snow has to fall, with more being projected before we are able to declare a snow emergency. What a snow emergency does is activate the snow routes, which then vehicles have to be moved at that point, allowing us to plow those snow routes. What we have talked about internally is there would be great benefit if there is a projected snowfall of greater than 2 inches, and we know about that in advance, to have the ability by ordinance to declare that in advance of any snowfall, giving residents the opportunity to move their vehicles off of those snow routes prior to any of that snow falling, so that when we get to 2 to 3 inches of snow and our plows are moving, we're not waiting for people to move their cars. So all we're asking for you this evening is permission to move forward next week with an ordinance that would change this language, allowing us to actually declare the emergency in advance of any snowfall, but with a projection of snowfall greater than 2 inches. And in doing so, then allowing us to put that out to the public in advance. Hopefully, they would then cooperate in moving their vehicles in advance of the snow, so that once it begins to fall, then our operators can go through those routes and clear those without vehicle involvement. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions.
It's up to you, Sam.
Thank you. So, kind of related to this, how many snow routes do we have? Where, or maybe where are they?
The downtown is a big area of snow routes. Then we have them along all of our major routes throughout the community as well. This does not include many side streets outside of the downtown area, but all of our major routes, primary routes, and then in the downtown area.
Grove, Champaign.
Sure. And so
Grove
currently it's a, I remember Grove. Currently it's an issue now with.
Yeah, it is. And so, and we've talked about this internally, we're getting better and better by knowing projected snowfalls in advance. And again, they're not always right, but, it's our belief that we're better off getting the vehicles moved and not having any snow than, by the time we wait for 2 inches and then we put the word out to everybody and give them an opportunity. There have been snowfalls where by the time people would have the opportunity to move their cars, we're now at 4 to 5 inches of snow, right? And so that really impedes and hampers the ability of our operators to plow those streets. And because they're designated emergency routes, we just think it's far more appropriate to be proactive and get out in front of it rather than waiting for snow to actually fall before we take any steps.
I think it's a good idea. Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else?
I think it's a good idea too, but we're not going to have that much snow this year.
That's exactly right. According to the Woolly Worm, we are only supposed to have 100 inches of snow this fall.
Love
this
your
winter,
optimism,
so.
Terry. Anyone else? All right. We'll bring that forward, Mr. Eisenhower. The next one is the property tax levy presentation. Are you okay down there, Gary?
We're not to have that snow, just forget it.
Depends what the numbers say.
Just forget it, man.
Thank you.
I know I'm bad with sometimes.
So this is the time of the year where we start talking property tax, and so tonight I want to go through our property tax presentation. Again, as I normally do, just want to hit on a few things. I will refresh you on the formula that we use in order to create the property tax levy. I also want to then present to you what is the proposed property tax levy, show you a little comparison, and then one of the main components of our property tax levy is the police pension fund contribution, and so I'll take a little bit more time to look at that more thoroughly. This is not new information to you. You have all seen this slide before, but again, I think it's always nice to have a little bit of a refresher since we don't talk a lot about property tax on an annual basis other than this 1 month out of the year. The way in which the property tax formula is created is you as a body will levy an amount. You're not setting a rate, you're not setting the EAV, you levy an amount of money. That amount of money is then divided by the EAV, which then will equal the tax rate. So while most residents are concerned with the tax rate, that's not what you will set. You will set the levy. We'll set that levy utilizing a projected EAV, and then from that, a projected tax rate will be presented to you here this evening. Again, that just sort of lays it out. You will be, when this is brought before you for approval, approving an amount, not the rate. The EAV, while it is projected at this point, we won't know the actual EAV until sometime in the spring. That's typically done March or April when we get the final numbers on that. It'll be at that time that the rate will be officially established. So while I'm going to show you a rate tonight, that is merely just a projected rate based on the projected EAV. I will say the projected EAV that we're going to talk about tonight is not something that I came up with. This is from the clerk's office out of Champaign County. They are the ones who provide us with the projected rate. They usually do that in the fall. That allows us then to all prepare our property tax levies, and then of course they will revise that in February, March before releasing it to us for final evaluation and review, and then of course at that time it will also establish the rate. In a perfect world, what would happen every year is you would have the EAV increase. That would allow us then to also increase the amount which is levied while at the same time decreasing the property tax rate. So it would be great if the EAV went up every year, we were able to bring in a little bit more money each year, and by doing that, fund the three areas that we fund with our property tax levy dollars, and yet at the same time see for our citizens a property tax rate decrease. Over the last few years, that is exactly what we have started to see. EAV since 2018 has risen dramatically, going from just around $90 million back in 2018 up to last year where we were over $128 million in EAV. Looking at last year's taxes levied, we had been steadily moving upward since 2018. That dipped a little bit last year, and you'll remember that dipped a little bit last year because our police pension contribution was lower last year thanks to greater than expected investment returns. And so we were able to then provide back to the residents some of those dollars. With that then, it would also go that since 2018, the tax rate has actually dropped. So we were at a tax rate of somewhere close to $1.60. As you know, last year we were at $1.18. So we've gone down significantly in our tax rate since 2018. Now let's take a look at what we are proposing for you this year. And this is included in both your tax levy presentation as well as a dedicated sheet that shows just this at the front of your packet. The county has indicated a projected EAV of $144 million. That is the largest EAV in the history of Rantoul. That is an 11% increase over the equalized assessed valuation of property in Rantoul a year ago. So what that indicates is the value of land for taxable purposes in the village of Rantoul is estimated at $144 million. What that means then is the total levy that we are able to provide to you is going up slightly, and I'll explain to you why. But at the same time, using that projected EAV, based on the levied amount that we're going to ask you to approve, you would actually see no change in the property tax rate. The property tax levy funds three elements: the library, the police pension bond, and then through contributions, under corporate contributions, additional money goes towards the police pension. Not to say that if there isn't some money left over, that comes into the general fund to provide additional programming, but for the most part, your tax levy is really focused on the library and the police pension debt. The library is asking for an increase this year of 7%. The reason for that is because many of their employees are minimum wage employees, and as we all know, the minimum wage is increasing. As we've talked about when looking at our own pay scale, when the minimum wage increase occurs on an annual basis, not only then are you increasing the dollars going towards those minimum wage employees, but in order to keep a gap or separation between your part-time and your full-time employees, there needs to be an increase to the full-time employment as well. And so based almost solely on the wage increases that are necessary in order to continue to move the library forward, they are seeking an increase from last year, which was $537,625, to this year $575,260. That's a 7% increase over a year ago. The police pension bond, and again, you'll remember back in, I believe it was 2018, the village decided to take out a bond in order to pay the unfunded liability for the police pension. You are now paying that bond back. That bond was issued against the property tax levy, and so you see this year it goes from $771,178 to $773,503. So just an increase of slightly over $2,000 from a year ago. The corporate amount is also increasing from last year to this year. The reason for that continues to be the current obligation for the police pension. Based on the need to increase the police pension contribution out of the general fund, and I'm going to talk more about that in a moment as to why that increase is occurring, we need to increase this amount as well. So it will be going from $230,000 to $371,675. That's a change of just over $140,000, and we're going to talk later in the presentation why there's that increase in the current police pension obligation. All of that being said, even with those increases from last year to this year, based on the EAV projection by the county of $144 million, our property tax levy, based on the amount of money that the administration will be asking you to approve, would leave the rate exactly the same as it was a year ago. Last year it was 1.1888. This year it would be 1.1886. So almost identical to where we were a year ago, even though we're putting more money from the property tax levy towards the library and towards the police pension funding. When you look at how then the tax levy is broken down, the police pension bond itself, just under 45%. The library is 33.44% of the property tax levy, and then the corporate fund, which goes towards paying the current obligation of the police pension, is 21.60%. So let's take a look at the EAV and historically where we've been and where we are. Just as Jane started the meeting with what I thought was very exciting news about what's happening on the tourism side, I think we're ending on some very exciting news in regards to the increase in values that we are seeing here in our community. From last year's residential EAV of $75 million, we are seeing an increase of almost $10 million from a year ago to this year in residential property value. People say, well, how does that happen? There hasn't been a lot of new builds of residential. If you look at sale prices for properties in Rantoul, they are above what properties have been assessed at for taxing purposes. And so because of that, you see an increase in EAV. On the commercial side, we've also seen a nice increase, about $4.5 million on the commercial side. This does not include any of the new commercial that you see opening up around the community. When they establish the value of property, they take the value of that property on January 1st of 2023. So what you're seeing here are numbers that were established on January 1st of 2023. So anything that's opened since then or been constructed since then is not included in these particular EAV increases. Those we will see next year and the following year. Industrial is up just a little bit from 7.2 to 8.1, farm from 6.0 to 6.7, and railroad from 513,000 to 524. Again, an increase in total EAV from 129 to 144 million, with that tax levied amount then increasing from 1,538,803 to 1,720,438. That still leaves us with a total tax rate almost identical to where we were a year ago. It helps fund the police pension, it helps fund the library, and we're able to meet those obligations without raising the property tax rate because of the increase in EAV. Just to do a quick comparison of taxing bodies, when you get your Village of Rantoul property tax bill, the village is not the only item on that bill. Rantoul City Schools, in fact, is about 44% of your total property tax bill. Rantoul Township High School is 22%. The village is 13%, and all of these are based on last year's property tax bills. We won't know this year's until, of course, we get into the spring of next year. Champaign County is about 8% of your bill, and then you get into Parkland College and Road and Bridge and the Park District, the Township, the Forest Preserve, the Cemetery, and the multi-assessments through Rantoul and Ludlow. That makes up the rest of your bill. What I wanted to do is look at how are we faring in regards to EAV increase versus other communities across Champaign County. We are the second highest movement in EAV from last year to this year. Mahomet beat us out. They're at 12.82% increase from last year to this year. We're at 11.83. That's followed by 9.67 from the city of Champaign. Urbana at 9.66. Champaign County as a whole at 8.56. St. Joseph at 6.5. And for whatever reason, Savoy actually saw a decrease in their property tax EAV. I also thought we would take a look at the property tax rates for Champaign County. Again, these are all last year's rates because we're just now in the process of looking at this year's rates. When you look at the large number, that is the total tax rate of all of the taxing bodies in those municipalities. Urbana is the highest at 10.82. We come in second at 10.55, and then from there the city of Champaign, followed by Savoy, Mahomet, and St. Joseph. What I also did was put in there what of that total property tax rate goes just to the municipality. And in that arena, we are actually the third highest. Urbana is the highest at $1.34. The city of Champaign comes in at $1.31. We're at $1.19, followed then by 82 cents in Mahomet, 73 cents in Savoy, and 42 cents in St. Joe. I mentioned the police pension fund is a large portion of your property tax levy, so I wanted to get into that just a little bit. Right now, the police pension fund, and this is actuarial information provided to you in your packet. This is all put together by Lauterbach and Amon. They have 27 active members in the pension fund at this time, 33 inactive. So that's retirements, disabilities, or spouses or children based on the age of those children. Rate of return on investments is lower than projected. The actuarials use a 10-year average. That 10-year average was right around 7%. So they projected this year that we would have a 7% increase in our investments. That actually came in at 0.105%. So significantly less than what was projected. You take that plus the increased salaries, the actuarial expenses, and that brings you to the unfunded obligation that you see at the bottom of the page. It also indicates, based on the payment of our current obligation and the unfunded obligation that is relative mostly to the investment return being less than expected, our total pension contribution and the increase from last year to this year. Even with that increase in contribution, based on the lower than expected return on investments, we lost funding in our pool from 100% down to 97%. Still very well within where we should be at this point in the amortization schedule. Again, right now, by law, you have to be 90% funded by the year 2040. We are currently 97% funded here in the year 2023. The current obligation for this year's pension is $274,317, slightly less than where we were a year ago with the current obligation. That's because we have fewer active members than what was represented last year. But this year, because of the lower than expected return on investments, we do have an unfunded obligation, which we did not have last year when we had the higher than expected returns on investments. So we have a $96,000 unfunded obligation, and that brings our total pension contribution to $370,414, higher than last year's $281,503, but again, due mainly to those three items of increased salaries, actuarial expenses, and the investment return less than expected. So with that, I will be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. In your packet, you have the property tax worksheet. You have the history of the property tax here in the village of Rantoul. You have the presentation that I just provided you, and you have a copy of the actuarials presentation on the police pension fund. I also included in your packet the sheets showing last year's tax rates for each of the taxing bodies in those municipalities that I showed. That way you can look at where they are receiving where they are putting their property tax dollars on an annual basis compared to where we are. So with that, I'm more than happy to answer any questions that you might have.
Board, do you have any comments or questions for the administrator?
I just have one.
Go ahead, Sam.
I think it's amazing, and I commend you for being able to keep our rate at the same, very close to what it was last year, with such a huge, almost, I had to look at it, took my glasses off, took my glasses back on. That's an amazing increase. Is from last year? Is that what the other municipalities are experiencing as well, or are we just lucky?
No, well, and again, I showed you the increase in EAVs that each of the different municipalities are experiencing this year. And you'll see when you go through the charts where those tax dollars lie. When it comes to us, we're focused really through our property tax levy only on the library and on the pensions. Other municipalities may either have differently funded pension mechanisms or may not have police pensions at all because they don't have full-time police departments. The other thing you'll notice, particularly when you look at Champaign and Urbana, is they do not have a public library as part of the municipal tax because it's its own separate taxing body. And so they don't have to include those dollars in their municipal property tax levy because that's managed by the property or by the library district as a separate taxing body. So while we're able to compare the rates a little bit overall and as a whole, and while we're able to look at the increases in EAV, what we really have to be mindful of, and that's why I included those sheets in your packet, is what different municipalities fund through those property taxes. Some of them have bodies that we don't. Others do not have bodies that we do, and that's what makes it sometimes tough to make that apples-to-apples comparison.
Okay, thank you.
Jerry?
The EVA has gone up considerably, and we haven't, and that's not including all the new businesses that have started this year. So we should probably anticipate that in the next January is when they redo it, right?
Absolutely.
So that'll probably go up again this next year a considerable amount, since we have, I don't know how many new businesses, but several, and some of our other businesses here in town have done significantly better also. Do you anticipate that we will be able to cover the unfunded obligation in the next year to catch back up to where we should be with the police funding and everything, with the increased EVA and everything that we have?
So that's a great question, trustee, and what that really balances on is the return on investments. So if we have a stronger return on investments, that's less contribution that our taxpayers have to put into the fund. That then brings down the unfunded obligation. We'll certainly be, through this property tax proposal that I have before you, bringing us back up to where we should be from a funding perspective. We're just asking the property taxpayers to do that rather than receiving those investment funds. Next year, we hope that on April 30th of 2024, investments are up. If that's the case, then we'll see a stronger return, and with that, then we'll need less of the normal and unfunded obligation.
Do we have any control over our investments to?
We do not. The investments that are done for the police pension are all done by the Police Pension Board. That is a separate local governing body. And if you remember, through state legislation, they are now pooling municipal, police, and fire investments, which also then plays a part in what our return is at the end of the day. So you as a governing body, myself as an administrator, the mayor, we have zero ability to manipulate the return on investments for the police pension. All of those decisions are made at the local level by the Police Pension Board or at the state level.
Thank you.
Okay. Anyone else? Jerry?
Here we go. So in 2018, we took out that $8.1 million bond to fund the police 100%. We're down at 97%. Where does the interest on that bond go? Does that go to make up that shortfall?
No, the interest is actually, so the way in which that bond works is every year you levy an amount for the amortized amount required for that year's bond obligation. So you took it out over a 20-year period. This year it comes in at 773, 503. That's what we're going to levy. So we never even really touch that money. It comes in through the property taxes and goes immediately into the bond. So there's no interest for us. Where we get the unfunded obligation dollars is through the increase in the property tax levied amount. So that 1.5 to 1.7, a portion of that is the unfunded obligation that we're asking the taxpayers to pick up.
Okay, very good. That clarifies that. Thank you. I'm good.
Anyone else?
My question to the board is, we have to approve the property tax levy no later than December 20th. We could bring an ordinance back to you next Tuesday approving this levied amount, or if you'd like to sit on it for a month, we could bring this back into December. That is completely up to this body as to when you would like to take that vote.
Okay. Can you give me some feedback, board? What do you
I
think?
I think we should just go ahead and move forward with it for next week's resolution.
What would sitting on it do us any good?
Yeah.
The numbers will not change in 30 days. That much I can tell you.
Let's vote on it
All right, everybody's ready to vote?
Yes.
Bring it next week? No.
next week.
Not here. Next week here. All right, we'll bring it forward. All right. Mr. Eisenhower, thank you. That was very thorough.
Yes, good job.
Okay. Item 18 are items from council. Counselor? Okay. Anything outstanding you would like to discuss with the counselor? Anybody? All right. Okay, very good. Thank you, Dave. Item 19, I need a motion, folks, to go into closed session.
So moved.
Well, let me read the motion.
I'm ready.
Yeah, I know you are. Okay. Motion to enter into closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C6 to consider the setting of a price for sale or lease of property owned by the public body. In addition, a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C5 to consider the purchase or lease of real property for the use of the public body, including meetings held for the purpose of discussing whether a particular parcel should be acquired. And a motion to enter into closed session pursuant to 5 ILCS 120/2C1 to consider the employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of an employee. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All right.
Yeah,
Madam Clerk, I'll let you work that one out. All right.
I have a motion by trustee Kreider and a second by trustee Weathersby.
All right. Sounds good. Any discussion, board? All right. No discussion?
Trustee Kreider,
Aye.
trustee Hall,
Aye.
trustee Workman,
Aye.
trustee Weathersby,
Aye.
trustee Wilson.
Aye.
Motion carries 5-0.
Okay, very good. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, now entering into closed session. Thank you for coming.